So I think we were discussing about Syrian charters. Long time back we are meeting. So when we met last time, East Jerusalem was still not a major problem. Right now it had become a major issue. East Jerusalem, Palestine, war I am talking about right now, right? So have you done international relations, IR? Very good. So what is the major issue there in East Jerusalem? What? Pardon? What is the major issue between, say, Palestinians and Israelis? What is the reason why they are fighting? Okay, no problem. I will not ask more questions to embarrass you. So let us restrict ourselves to only what we are discussing. Did you write something about Syrian charters? We have done important features of Syrian charters, right? Let us now look at the reasons for failure of Syrian charters in India. Did you write reasons for failure? No. Okay. Reasons for failure of Syrian charters in India. Why they have been a failure? First and foremost, right down. Right, as pointed out by Second Administrative Reforms Commission, second ARC, Syrian charters in India. Syrian charters in India at best can be described as bureaucratic charters. Bureaucratic charters. Bureaucratic charters. That is, bureaucracy has formulated the Syrian charters without involving the stakeholders. Defeating the very purpose of Syrian charters. The very purpose of Syrian charters. Next, reason why they are a failure. Syrian charter is a voluntary commitment. In United Kingdom, they were successful. Because even though THOUGH, it was a voluntary commitment. Bureaucracy took it seriously. And fulfilled all commitments made to people. All commitments made to people. In India, bureaucracy never took implementation of Syrian charters seriously, never took implementation of Syrian charter seriously, as it was only a voluntary commitment. As it was only a voluntary commitment. Next reason. Social audit committees, SAC, social audit committees, are expected to participate actively in the formulation of Syrian charters. But due to lack of knowledge and awareness, about administration, they could not participate in the formulation of Syrian charters. Next reason. Syrian charters in India as pointed out by second ERC are nothing but pious statements, PIOUS statements, of noble intentions without having any practical significance. They do not provide any information in quantifiable terms to fix accountability on the part of bureaucracy. Next reason. Performance of bureaucracy in implementation of Syrian charters. Has no impact on their career advancement. that is their promotions, transfers and postings, their promotions, transfers and postings do not depend on their ability to implement citizen charters. Their ability to implement citizen charters. Next reason why they are a failure. Social audit committees, SAC, social audit committees are expected to evaluate, they are expected to evaluate performance of bureaucracy in implementation of citizen charters. But recommendations of social audit committees are only advisory in nature. They are only advisory in nature. They are mostly non-implemented. Next, they are mostly remain unimplemented or non-implemented. Next reason, bureaucracy is expected to provide vital information about VITAL information about finances to social audit committees. Which can help them in formulating citizen charters. But ineffective implementation of RTI, ineffective implementation of RTI meant that financial information is always kept secretive by bureaucracy. Next reason why failure, colonial attitudes of bureaucracy. Colonial, COLONIAL, colonial attitudes of bureaucracy. Syrian charters in United Kingdom had become successful because bureaucracy considered themselves as a true servants of people, as a true servants of people, in brackets civil servants, civil servant. Whereas in India, bureaucracy considers themselves as masters, considers themselves as masters, M-A-S-T-E-R-S, masters, and they treat people as subjects, and they treat people as subjects, in brackets colonial attitude, colonial attitude, right? So these are all the reasons why we say in India Syrian charters have been a failure. As we discussed, lack of awareness among the people. By the way, how many of you have seen Syrian charters that are mentioned on UPSC website? Have you seen them? I think last time I said that please show the Syrian charters also. Have you seen? Yes or no? That is the reason why they are a failure. Right? That is where the problem, as I keep on saying, on a day when in elections in India, electoral outcomes are decided by right to information, Syrian charters and social audits, then we can say India can become easily a developed country. And what are the major issues right now? Again, 5 states are going to elections. What are the major issues in elections? As usual, subsidies, freebies, then reservations, caste, and of course corruption. These are all the issues and nothing else. Lack of awareness among the people. This year's central government budget is 45 lakh crores. Do we know how the government is spending that money? Where the government is spending that money? On what the government is spending that money? You must have seen in the last few days in newspapers, you must have seen that NREGA or PMAY, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, I think it had come today in newspapers also. So much of corruption taking place. NREGA, so much of corruption had taken place. Why? Because people don't know who are supposed to be the beneficiaries. They are never consulted. We have only what is called bureaucracy-centric governance. And the bureaucrats will make sure that the entire administration is carried out in a highly secretive manner. And that is the reason why RTA has been a failure. When RTA is a failure, all other reforms will always be a failure. And the most important reason is, as we keep on saying, attitudes of our bureaucracy. In United Kingdom, they consider themselves as the servants of people. In India, they believe they are the masters of the people. And as I said, if you go and tell your district collector that you are my servant because you are a civil servant, and he will show you who the master is. Immediately he will call, as usual, the superintendent of police and say that there is some dreaded Naxalite come terrorist, come secessionist, come communalist has entered into my office. Please take care of him. Don't say kill, neutralize the person. Right? Neutralize the person. Next day, newspapers. A dreaded terrorist come Naxalite had entered into district collector's office in a fierce gun battle that took place only from one side. That is what happens. Colonial attitudes. That is where the problem is. In United Kingdom, they were successful because two things. One is awareness among the people about their rights and awareness among the people about administration. Whereas in India, that is not there. Second one is the civil servants took it, even though it is a voluntary commitment, they took it seriously and they fulfilled all the commitments they have made in the Syrian charters. That is where the difference. In India, we don't have that kind of what is called work culture. A very important topic that you will be studying in your ethics paper also. We don't have that kind of work culture wherein administration accepts transparency, accountability and participation. They only believe in secrecy and they believe in ruling rather than governing. They are the rulers but not the administrators. That is where the problem is. That is the reason why every year the same kind of questions are asked. And every year people are writing the same answer, getting into services, and after that, as usual, they will forget all these things. Right? In a 2009, Second Administrative Reforms Commission had submitted the report. We are in 2023. For the last 14 years, same questions are asked by UPSC with the same spelling mistakes to maintain consistency also. And people are writing the same answers. The best part of it is that if the question is repeated, nowadays that is what UPSC is doing every year, repeating the same questions every year. You can always write that, please refer to my answer in the last year's question paper. Give me marks also, God bless you. Right? Have you ever done these kind of things in your examinations? School. But in school, in the first test also, you have not written any answer. Where the question of asking them to refer to your answer in the first test. Right? So that is where the Syrian charters, we say all of them are a failure. Let us look at what should be done. What should be done? We will take all the weaknesses and problems and reverse them. You get the solutions. What should be done to make Syrian charters successful? So we have mentioned that first and foremost, we have said that the Syrian charters are a failure because bureaucracy formulated the Syrian charters on their own without consulting the stakeholders. I gave the example of UPSC. Did they ever consult you? Stakeholders is a good term. I will not use that one. You know what? I did not say. If you say, no problem. Right? So did they ever consult you asking what kind of changes you want in the recruitment examination process? They never. And they have a Syrian charter. Whenever you feel depressed, right, please go to government documents, read them. You have so much of happiness. Look at UPSC Syrian charter. It talks about transparency, accountability. They use these terms so freely because they come free of cost. Right? They will say that they will ensure high levels of standards in conducting the UPSC examination. What are those high levels? We don't know. How do you define that high level? That means they will be conducting the examination only in Mussoorie, 5,000, 8,000 feet above sea level, very high level. Right? That is what we say high levels. You have to define the standards, and for that you have to consult the stakeholders. What kind of changes? As I said, why should UPSC take 18 months to conduct the whole process? You are living in the age of artificial intelligence. Why do you need 18 months? Why can't you complete in 6 months the whole process? Right? We are electing our Prime Minister also in exactly 2 months of elections maximum. Why can't you select people? You are not electing here, you are only selecting here. Why should you take? And why they should still continue with this archaic and anarchic examination process? For example, in this age of artificial intelligence, what is the need for you to memorize all those facts? Is there any need for you to memorize all those facts? Is there any need for you to remember, how many times Akbar married? Is there any to remember? Do you know how many times he has married? The problem is that you are very, very bad with cultural activities. Your knowledge is very bad. Have you studied history? But you should know these things. Right. Okay. And they're asking these questions only. Right now, this year, if you look at the GS paper 1, they have asked the impact of railways on world civilizations. What can you write? But these are kind of questions. Anyway, that's the reason why sometimes I feel bad looking at you people. Because you have to take whatever UPSC gives. But they are asking only 1 or 2 questions like that. The rest of the question paper is fine. So anyway, let us come back and look at what should be done. First and foremost, 150 times, some people are getting emotional. Whatever their dreams, they are putting it as Akbar's. Right. So, for your information, Akbar married for the first time at the age of 14, last time at the age of 60. In between he married so many times. These are the things which you do not find in the textbook. You have to explore. That is where your interest comes into picture. Who is a philosopher? Who is a philosopher? What is the meaning of the word philosopher? Don't worry, after 1 or 2 years of UPSC preparation, that is what you will become. Right? You will start asking the questions. What is UPSC? Who am I? you know, why should I be here? Right? Right. People are giving answers: 7 legally wives and 13 Rajput princes. People are getting emotional here. Legally wives and 13 Rajput princes. What about those 13? What do you call them? Right? Okay. A philosopher is a person who is called a seeker of knowledge. A person who always, looking for knowledge, who always seeks knowledge is a person is called a philosopher. Right? Anyway, let us come back and, as I said, look at all the problems. First one is Syrian charters should be formulated only with the participation of stakeholders. Only with the participation of stakeholders. No government department or a ministry should be allowed to formulate certain charters on their own. Next, implementation of section 4 of RTI. Implementation of section 4 of RTI. What is this section 4 of RTI? That's what we discussed. All those people working at different hierarchical levels in the government departments must be allowed to make whatever the information at their disposal public without seeking the approval of their superiors. Every information, every single bit of information should be made available on the websites of the ministries and departments on a real-time basis, so that people will come to know immediately how much amount of money the district collector has received to be spent on, say, NREGA, to be spent on Service Shiksha Abhiyan, to be spent on PMJAY. Then only you can formulate Syrian charters. Implementation of section 4 of RTI. Next, social audit committees, SACs, social audit committees should be given training. They should be given training in administration, so that they can actively participate in formulation of Syrian charters. Next, sensitivity training. Should be imparted IMPARTED to bureaucracy, to transform their colonial attitudes, into democratic values. Next, Yes. Sensitivity training. Sensitivity means making them sensitive, making bureaucracy sensitive to all these changes, sensitive to the problems of people. The reason why UPSC has included your ethics paper, 250 marks, is only to see whether you have values or not. Because in 2013 UPSC has included this fourth GS paper 4 in your syllabus. Why? These training institutions, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy, Hyderabad, and Income Tax Academy, Nagpur, Customs Academy, Faridabad. All these academies have a complaint to UPSC. What is their major complaint? That those who are getting into services simply do not have the values that are needed for them to be successful as civil servants. They have the knowledge, but they don't have the values. And what is the average age of the people getting into civil services? 28 years and 9 months. Average age is 28 years, 9 months, 29 years. By the age of 29 years, your personality is fully developed. Can I change your personality at that point of time? And that is where the problem. That is the reason why when they go to the field, they are mostly proving to be a failure. What is the most important value that is needed for you to be successful as a civil servant? That is what we say. You need to have only empathy. Nothing else is required. Empathy means you must be able to feel the sufferings of people. You must be able to feel. You are from urban areas. You have studied in IITs. Your parents are civil servants. And in your first attempt, you have taken mathematics optional and got into services. Do you know what is unemployment? Do you know what is food problem? Do you know what is poverty? And once you get into services, you have to tackle all these problems. Will you have any kind of empathy? Obviously not. That is the reason why these people who are getting into services, they have the intelligence, they have the knowledge, but not values. That is why these academies have requested UPSC, please do something, change your recruitment process, test the values of the people. And that is the reason why they have included this ethics paper. That is the reason why in your ethics paper, UPSC nowadays, in the last 10 years are asking these kind of questions only. What is happiness? What is goodness? What is honesty? Such a cute questions. You like them, right? Right? They are asking the journey of people is from human being to being human. These are all philosophical ones, because they would like to know whether you have those kind of attitudes and values which are necessary for you to become a successful civil servant. Because once you go to training, nobody takes this training seriously. Nobody takes this training seriously. As I told you, last class I think one of my students who is there in ICE right now, he is undergoing training in Mussoorie, and he called me. And as usual, as part of training, you have a lot of case studies. They will ask you to do a lot of case studies. And most all these case studies are related to only administration. And he called me, sir, what is the answer to this case study? I said that our agreement is only for you to get into civil services, not after that, right? After that, you have to think about 6P, not, right? So I asked him, as usual, how is the training? Normally these are all the things we study extensively in public administration. What kind of training is given, what kind of reforms have to be implemented. He said that exactly whatever we have studied, absolutely not at all related to what you are going to face when you go to the districts. They never teach you the real problems, and they are teaching you only what is this, basically things like basic polity, which you already have studied, basic economy, which you have studied, you have not understood, and basic law, which you don't want to study. That is what they will be teaching. So that is the reason why nobody takes this training seriously. Why? Because before you go to these training institutions, your rank is decided, your service is decided, your cadre is also decided. So will you take this training seriously? Never. That is the reason why these academies have asked UPSC, please test the values of these candidates before they get into services, because we are not able to change their attitudes and values through training. Normally that is what we say, sensitivity training, making them sensitive to the problems of people. In the last few years, the present government has made significant changes to training also. Last year they had said that you normally, as part of this training, there is a 1 week training in villages. You are expected to go to a village and stay there. Now they have increased to 3 weeks, and you will be staying there in those villages like a common man, and you will have to look at their problems, understand their life, because once you become a sub collector, you will never experience problems of a common man. And that is what we say, sensitivity training. Go there in the villages. You will be sent to some of the remotest of villages in northeast, where there is no electricity, where water is also a problem, and look at how the people are leading their lives. Automatically, when you experience those problems by yourself, tomorrow you can become a better civil servant. That is what we say, sensitivity training. So this is what we are saying here. Give focus on training to make them sensitive to the problems of the people, to change their attitudes, values, and behaviors. Next solution: Syrian charters should clearly define the services to be provided. The services to be provided in quantifiable terms. Quantifiable. In quantifiable terms. That should be provided in quantifiable terms, so that the performance of bureaucracy can be objectively evaluated. Next solution: civil services conduct rules and regulations. Civil services conduct rules and regulations. Civil services conduct rules and regulations. 1959, 1964 can be changed. 1959 and 1964 can be changed. What are the changes here? Performance of bureaucracy. In implementation of Syrian charters. Should be the basis of their career advancement. Including transfers, promotions, suspensions, and so on. Why are we giving this recommendation? Because they never take these Syrian charters seriously. Next, reports of social audit committees. Should be made legal. That is, their recommendations should be implemented by the state. In a time bound manner. in a time bound manner. Next, there must be effective EFF, grievance redressal mechanism, GRM, in case of failure to provide services promised in Syrian charters. Right. So these are all the solutions that we say to make the Syrian charter experiment successful. Next paragraph you can write. Second Administrative Reforms Commission has suggested Sevottam model, Sevottam, SEVOTTAM model to improve Syrian charters. Sevottam means, what is the meaning? Providing Uttam Seva. That means best quality services to the people. It has three components. First one is Syrian charters should be made mandatory for all developmental and welfare schemes. And they should be formulated in consultation with stakeholders. Service standards, same point. Service standards should be defined in terms of global standards. So a school is having Syrian charter. Service standards should be defined in terms of global standards. You are in say 4th or 5th standard. What are the standards of say children in say America? And you must have the same kind of standards in India also. Similarly, what are the standards of a medical institution in America, hospital? In India also we should have the same standards. Next, second, capacity building exercise. Capacity building mechanism. Capacity building mechanisms. Syrian charters, write down explanation for this point. Syrian charters are expected to be implemented by, bureaucracy. It is found that bureaucracy has neither, found that bureaucracy has neither, bureaucracy has neither attitude nor aptitude, neither attitude nor aptitude to ensure the success of Syrian charters. To ensure the success of Syrian charters. To ensure the success of Syrian charters. They don't have the skills or knowledge. They don't have the skills or knowledge, in brackets aptitude. They don't have the skills or knowledge, in brackets aptitude, to ensure success of development administration. To ensure success of development administration. They also don't possess the necessary values to bring about socio-economic transformation. Socio-economic transformation. Capacity building exercises. Capacity building exercises. Focus on improving their aptitudes and attitudes through training. Mission Karma Yogi. Mission Karma Yogi was launched. Mission Karma Yogi was launched by the government in 2021. To realize the above objectives. To realize the above objectives. Have you heard about this one? Mission Karma Yogi? Yes, what is it? Who is a Karma Yogi? Who is a Karma Yogi? Pardon? Who is a Karma Yogi? Okay, next point. Right. The third part of this Sevottam model. Third one is grievance redressal mechanisms. Grievance redressal mechanisms. Syrian charters have been a failure. Syrian charters have been a failure due to absence of effective effective GRMs, grievance redressal mechanisms. That is, if Syrians fail if citizens fail to receive the services promised in citizen charters, comma, there should be effective GRMs. There should be effective GRMs to improve quality of services, and also to fix accountability, on the part of civil servants. Right? This is what we say. This is what is called a Sevottam model that the second ARC has suggested. So this is all about citizen charters. As I said, for almost half the case studies, you have to provide solutions as citizen charters, part of citizen-centric governance. Right? So from citizen charters, let us move on to the next governance reform, social audits. Again, the questions are asked both in our governance as well as ethics papers. Social audits. The questions are asked both in governance and ethics papers. So as usual, we will follow the same structure. Why do we need social audits? What exactly is a social audit? What are the steps involved in social audit? And the reasons for failure of social audits? And what should be done? Reasons for failure of social audits and what should be done. That is what we will be looking at. So this year, if you look at in our polity governance paper, a question was asked about reasons for the failure of committee system in India. Have you seen this year's question paper? Mains? How many of you have seen the question paper? This year mains. Have you seen? So, do you remember that there is a question related to this committee system? And the question was specifically asking about financial committees. Why they are a failure? Do you remember what are the reasons we have given why they are a failure? Especially financial committees, Public Accounts Committee, Estimates Committee, Committee on Public Sector Enterprises, and departmental related committees. These are all financial committees of the Parliament. Why they are a failure? What are the criticisms? How many of you have this bad habit of reading also? Revising what you have studied? It seems all of you are very good people, not good best. Right? Do you ever revise what you have discussed, what you have studied? I think we completed polity long time back. So do you remember? So, pardon? Little bit. So what we have mentioned is that the most important limitation here is this Public Accounts Committee, which is considered to be a mini parliament. The functioning of Public Accounts Committee depends on the reports submitted by CAG. And what is the problem here? CAG performs a job which is post-mortem in nature. That means it will evaluate the performance after the monies are spent. Is it possible for the government to recover a single rupee? Obviously not. And what Public Accounts Committee does? They will evaluate the reports of CAG. I gave you the example also in our classes. I gave the example of a 2G spectrum scam. It is said that the scam had taken place in February, March 2008, and PAC took up only in around 2011, because 2010 CAG took up the evaluation of a Ministry of Telecom, right? And every year we said that PAC will take up evaluation of only around 7 or 8 ministries. For the same ministry to be evaluated again, it would take at least minimum 7-8 years. We have spoken about all these things, I think, in the class, right? Because you are looking at as ways for, I'm speaking in Hebrew, right? Right? We are still in India only, right? So nowadays, wherever you see 24 hours news channels are only, telecasting about what is happening in Israel and Gaza Strip only. So, coming back here, that is what we have mentioned. And by the time PAC, Public Accounts Committee, has submitted its report in 2013, the entire amount was lost, and the concerned people were looking for other corruption also, with lot of anticipation, right? And nothing happened. Nothing ever will happen also. Why? Because there are so many problems with our auditing system. If you go back to CAG, we have discussed separately. What are the major problems with the CAG? India, we have mostly what we call them as line item budgets. In our, I think in our economy, you must have studied different types of budgets. Have you studied the budgets? Yes. What are the different types of budgets that we have? As usual, I will be looking into your eyes and you will be looking into my eyes. Both of us will be admiring each other. I will be admiring your innocence. So what is it? What are the different types of budget that we have? Line item budgets. Then, have you heard about the performance budgeting? Have you heard about zero-based budgeting? Have you heard about this outcome budgets or gender budgeting or green budgeting? Normally these are the things they are asking in your economy, right? So anyway, I am not going to teach all the things, right? That's not part of our syllabus. We have only in India maximum line item budgets. What is a line item budget? Budget will only provide information about the expenditure to be spent on a particular item. For example, budget will be like this. Here item of expenditure and amount of money. Agriculture, 80,000 crores. Then education, 50,000 crores. And then health, 1 lakh crores. Then defense, say 2 lakh crores. Then the most important, corruption, 10 lakh crores. Budget mentions the items of expenditure. It is called line item budget because items of expenditure are arranged in different lines. Line item budget. Items of expenditure are arranged in different lines. When, for example, NREGA, if you are spending say 80,000 crores, do we know what is the output that we are getting after spending 80,000 crores? You must have seen recently in the newspapers. Hindu newspaper also has carried out this corruption in NREGA, wherein it was found that people were spending every year the same amount of money on creating one particular asset only. Money is withdrawn and works are done only on paper, but not in reality. I gave the example in Chhattisgarh when social audit was done of this NREGA programs. It was found out that in a village, they were constructing the same well for 15 years continuously. Well, it is not there also, right? That is how systematic corruption takes place, right? So why? Because this budget does not talk about what is the output, what is the outcome that we are going to get after spending so much amount of money. With line item budgets, CAG's evaluation would be less effective. As we said, CAG in India would only be restricting itself only to regulatory audit and legal audit. It cannot conduct performance audit because we don't have any performance budgeting or outcome budgeting. And every year the government is spending lakhs of crores of rupees on these developmental and welfare schemes. And we don't know how the money is spent, where the money is going also. This is where the problem is. And when CAG is conducting this kind of audit, there will be only systematic corruption. Today also you must have seen there was this news item in newspapers about PMAY, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Rural, wherein they spoke about different types of corruption that is taking place in various states. In some states like Bengal, people already have houses and they are also getting houses under PMAY. I am planning to shift to Bengal. At least I will get 10 houses under PMAY, right? So, and as I told you, take the case of Food Security Act. In a city like Bangalore, there are more number of these white ration cards than the whole population. That is where the corruption is. Why? Because we don't have what is called outcome budgets or performance budgets. We don't have them. Line item budgets only. Obviously, auditing will be less effective. And another problem with this budgeting CAG is that, as we said, CAG auditing does not involve stakeholders or beneficiaries. For example, if you are auditing the performance of NRAGA, it will be done by the bureaucracy only. It will be done by the officials working in the CAG. Do they go to the field level and consult the people and ask them whether they have received the benefits of NRAGA or not? Never. That is where the problem is there. How to overcome all these problems? How to overcome all these problems? The maximum amount of corruption takes place in India because we don't have what we call it as either pre-audit or concurrent audit. And the CAG performs an audit which is post-mortem in nature. And the auditing done by CAG is restricted only to either legal audit or regulatory audit. And we have only mostly line item budgets. And there is no participation of people. People are not having any kind of power opportunity to participate in evaluating the performance of welfare schemes. All the schemes are implemented by the government for their own welfare, but they don't have any kind of right to participate either in formulation or in implementation or in evaluation. This is where the problem is. They cannot do anything. That is why we talk about a citizen-centric governance. As part of citizen-centric governance, we are saying that let the people participate through citizen charters. Citizen charters are nothing but giving opportunities for the people to participate in deciding the quality of services. The money will be spent by the government, and the quality of services will be decided by the people in consultation with the bureaucracy. And once this is implemented, let the people also evaluate the performance. That is what we say citizen-centric governance. When people are evaluating the performance, it is called a social audit. Auditing means evaluation of a performance. Social audit means evaluation of performance by the society, by the people, by the stakeholders only. In social audit, we also have what is called a concurrent audit to overcome the weaknesses of auditing done by CAG. CAG performs an audit which is post-mortem, after the monies are spent. Whereas in social audit, you have concurrent audit. That means auditing is done simultaneously as and when the monies are spent. For example, what is this social audit? How will it take place? NRAGA is there. Around say 100 workers are working, and they have worked for 5 days, Monday to Friday. And at the end of the 5th day, these social audit committees will be there, along with the district bureaucracy and the workers. All of them will be there at the work site. Then the social audit committees along with the bureaucracy, they will see whether these 100 workers have attended the work for all those 5 days or not. Because the moment you come to the work site, you have to give your thumb impression. Automatically your presence will be recorded with the time also. Similarly, before you leave, again you have to give your thumb impression also. So they will check whether all of them have worked for those 5 days or not. And they should be paid wages. Each worker, say each worker should be paid 200 rupees per day. 5 days means 1000 rupees. And we have already improved digital public infrastructure in our country. We have UPIs, and we also have Jan Dhan Aadhaar and mobile also. So through this UPI and through Jan Dhan Aadhaar and mobile, immediately this district bureaucracy must transfer money into the accounts of the workers, then and there itself. They will see whether for those 5 days the workers have done the work or not. Again, the standards will be defined. In those 5 days, this much amount of work should be completed. And once this is done, they are satisfied. Immediately, workers should be transferred money into their accounts for those 5 days in the presence of social audit committees. Once the money is transferred, social audit committees will see whether they have received the money or not into their accounts. This is what is called concurrent audit. Auditing is done as and when the monies are spent. With this kind of concurrent audit, is there any scope for what we call corruption? No. Otherwise, there is a lot of corruption. For example, when Aruna Roy's foundation, MKSS, they have done, former IAS officer Aruna Roy, we spoke about her also, right? When she had done social audit of NRAGA in Rajasthan, they found out that workers were paid as low as 2 rupees per day also, wages. 2 rupees per day. That is what it is. And as I said, when they have done this social audit in Chhattisgarh, there was systematic corruption. For 15 years, the same, every year they had withdrawn the money to construct the same well, which is not there. Every year, they have withdrawn the money, workers were paid wages, contractors have received money for supplying material, raw material. Everything was done except that there was no well. Why? Because there was no social audit. Social audit means auditing that is being taking place as and when the monies are spent. That is the reason why we need this kind of social audit. And Meghalaya had become the first state to make a social audit illegal. Recently, the government of India had come out with a notification saying that they will release funds for NRAGA only when this social audit is done and it is made legal. That means the government should take action on the basis of the recommendations made by social audit committees also. Right now, in case of Bengal, there is so much of controversy going on. The government has not released money to Bengal state government for the amount of work they have done under NRAGA because this social audit was not done, and there was a lot of corruption also. That's why we need this social audit. This auditing will be performed by the beneficiaries only. So, as we discussed with citizen charters, what happens in social audit first? The social audit committees are formed. Who are the members of social audit committees? Who are part of the social audit committees? First and foremost, the beneficiaries themselves, stakeholders, beneficiaries. Then the local bureaucracy. Then you have local NGOs and civil society organizations. Local media also can be part of it. Then district level judiciary, they are also part of social audit. Then we have state level bureaucracy and prominent citizens from locality. Prominent citizens. All of them are members of social audit committees. Again, as we have mentioned, once the district collector receives information about the money, for example, 500 crores of rupees should be spent on improving irrigation facilities in the district. 500 rupees, 500 crores should be spent. You have to spend 500 crores on improving irrigation facilities in the district. Right? How can you improve irrigation facilities in the district? By constructing canals or check dams or there's tanks like that. So for this immediately what happens? Social audit committees will be formed. For example, a particular village has received say 50 lakh rupees to construct a canal or to construct a water tank, 50 lakh rupees. Immediately the social audit committees will decide what are they come out with what is called citizen charters. So what are the citizen charter contains? As we have discussed, what are the information they have? First, the amount of money to be spent. Second, the asset to be created. What is the asset you are creating? Third, what is the quality of the asset? For example, you are constructing a say water tank. It should be there for at least till it is completed. Right? We have bridges are constructed on a daily basis in India. Today you are constructing one part small portion, it will collapse. Tomorrow you will start there only, then also it will collapse. These kind of things are happening. You must have seen these things. Very good. Whatever may be the place, right? We believe in doing the things in a perfect manner. Till they don't become perfect, we keep on destroying them so that we can become perfect. Like the way you keep on writing answers to write perfect answer. So coming back here, so the asset to be the quality of the asset, that also will be decided, and then number of people who are going to employment, number of job holders in NREGA who are working on the site, and then the time period during which you complete the project, time period during which you will be completing the project. Next, it will also provide information about the beneficiaries, all those farmers who are supposed to receive the irrigation, and it also provides about what are the nature of what is the quantity of benefits that they are supposed to receive. Each and every farmer, how much water he would be receiving, and also the time period during which they will be receiving the benefits. It will provide information of all these things so that there is no scope for any corruption. And once as the work starts, I said after 1 week you have completed say the entire water tank should be constructed in say 1 month time. After 1 week, what happens? The social audit committee will meet along with the contractors and the workers and the district administration. They will see whether the 25% of work is done or not. If you have to complete the entire water tank in 1 month, in 1 week you have to complete 25% of the work, and you will see whether the workers have worked on the site or not, and then immediately you will be paying the wages to the workers then and there itself, and you will also see whether the workers have received the money in their accounts or not. That is what is called concurrent audit. Concurrent audit means auditing taking place simultaneously. And similarly, once the project is completed, then you will see the quality, and you will also see the storage capacity of the tank, and then next you will see whether the farmers are receiving the water or not, and more importantly whether receiving the water within the time period or not. And then these farmers will be asked to evaluate the performance of district administration through what is called the social audit committee reports. And these reports the government should be able to take action on the basis of these reports. If the district administration has done a good job, then they can be given promotions. On the other hand, if there is any corruption, if there is any low quality of services than what has been promised, action should be taken against the district administration. That is what, and that is how it happens in social audit. And more importantly, in social audit, they give importance to equity. What is this equity? Equity. We have spoken about this in Article 14 also. Article 14 and 15. we said that in Article 14, we have said that we have taken both American as well as British concept of equality before law, rule of law. In British concept, it is equality before law. In American concept, equal protection of laws. That means those who are poor, backward, they should be given more benefits. That is what we said, equity. Equity means you must be biased in favor of weaker sections of society. Article 15 talks about those things. Article 15.3 talks about providing benefits to. Article 15.3, what is it? What is Article 15.3? Let me check your knowledge. What is Article 15? It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this it has. Subparts. Do you remember all the subparts? Do you remember that we have studied these things also? See, that is what happens if you don't revise. Everything looks Greek and Latin only. What is Article 22, Clause 2? Article 23.1. Article 23 first. 23.1. Please, you have to read these things. Article 19.5. That is where problem comes up in prelims, because when you see the question, you know that you have studied, you know that definitely you remembered it, you can remember it, but you don't know exactly where and how, when. That is where most of the time you go for your own gut feeling and put the answer, and whatever the answer you put will always turn out to be wrong. That is the reason why you have to study at least 10 times, 100 times. Not many, you have to read only few articles. You have to remember only few of them. Very few of them. I never said that you have to remember all the articles. Very few articles. Right? So anyway, coming back here, Article 15.3 talks about government discriminating in favor of women and children. Discriminating in favor of women and children. Right against discrimination, Article 15 says. But there can be positive discrimination, which is what we call affirmative action, which is part of equity. Which is part of equity. That is the reason why we have to come out with such a long story. Everything you should be able to interlink. Polity should be linked to governance, we should be linked to ethics, because everything is derived from ethics only. For example, all the social sciences are derived from only ethics, philosophy only. Polity, political philosophy. Administration, administrative philosophy. Economics, economic philosophy. All of them are derived from only ethics, philosophy only. So this is what we are saying here. As a civil servant, you must always give importance to equity. So you are irrigating the lands of the farmers here, the beneficiaries are the farmers. But whose land you should irrigate the most? Whose land should be irrigated the most? First and foremost, whose land should be irrigated? Small and marginal farmers. Because rich farmers can do whatever they want to irrigate their own land. But small and marginal farmers are the ones who depend hopelessly on the government. That is the reason why, as we study in our ethics paper, the most important value a civil servant must possess is equity. Equity. Whenever he takes any decision, whenever he takes any action, that should always benefit the weakest sections of society, poorest sections of society, those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. So, as a district collector, when you are irrigating the land, you should always give importance to small and marginal farmers. The social audit committee will evaluate your performance in terms of equity. So, in the village, if there are 500 farmers, out of which 450 farmers are small and marginal farmers, they will evaluate, the social audit committee, whether these 450 farmers have got water to their land or not. That is what is called equality. Because rich farmers, big jamindars, can have other forms of irrigation. They can have bore wells. Can the poor farmers afford those bore wells? Obviously not. That is where the government has to come. Similarly, when you are providing education, education should be provided to weaker sections of society, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward castes, tribals, and then minorities, women. They are the ones who should be getting these educational opportunities. That is what we call equity. Social audit committees will evaluate the performance of bureaucracy in terms of equity, whereas the CAG's audit is restricted only to economy and efficiency. That is the reason why we need social audit. But unfortunately in India, social audit is also a failure, like any other governance reform. Why? Because all the reasons that we have spoken for Syrian charters also apply here. When can you have social audit? You can have social audit only when there are Syrian charters. When there are no Syrian charters, there is no social audit. Even if there are social audits, they are a failure because the recommendation of the social audit committees are only advisory in nature. The government will never take any action, and they don't have any legal status. The social audit committees do not have the expertise, skills and knowledge to evaluate the performance of the government. As we keep on saying, governance is a highly technical activity, and these social audit committees mostly are poor, weaker, illiterate sections of society. For all these reasons, again, social audit has been a failure in our country, like any other governance reform. And what should be done? The same recommendation that you have written for Syrian charter should also be written for social audit. You have to make Syrian charters mandatory for all developmental and welfare schemes. They should clearly define the services to be provided in objective, quantifiable terms. And the recommendations of the social audit committee should be made mandatory. CAG must provide training to social audit committees so that they can evaluate the performance in a more efficient manner. There must be complete transparency in terms of allocation of monies by the government, and these social audit committees should be given legal status also. That is what it is said, and that is what we have mentioned also. When we spoke about judicial reforms, we said that judicial performance of judiciary also should be evaluated by social audits. Let the stakeholders, the lawyers, clients, then media, and other sections of society come together and evaluate the performance of judiciary. That performance evaluation should be the basis of their promotions or transfers, to ensure transparency, accountability, participation in judicial administration. Everywhere we need only social audit. Let the people evaluate the performance, because who are going to benefit out of it? People. Whose money is spent? People's money. And to whom they should be made accountable? People. As we said, in our parliamentary democracy, there is no direct accountability of bureaucracy towards citizens. On top of it, we have inherited colonial structures, wherein the Britishers deliberately made sure that bureaucracy would never be made accountable. So how to ensure accountability? Through social audits. It is the most important and effective instrument to fix accountability, to improve efficiency, to ensure participation, ultimately to realize the objectives of good governance. That is what we say. So let us take as usual a few points about a social audit, starting with why do we need social audit? Why do we need social audit? Why do we need social audit? There are many weaknesses. There are many weaknesses in the financial systems of our country. In the financial systems of our country. Including, write down all of them. First, India has mostly line item budgets. India has mostly LINE, line item budgets, wherein the budget document only provides information about the money to be spent, on a particular item. It is not linked. LINKED to either output. It is not linked to either output or outcome. Next, weakness. Auditing performed by CAG. Is mostly restricted to legal and regulatory audits. What is this legal audit and what is regulatory audit? We have discussed these things as part of CAG. Legal audit means CAG would see whether the person who is spending the money has the necessary legal authority to spend the money or not. As we have mentioned, in the district, every single rupee spent in the district must have the approval of the district collector. And within the departments, from under secretary to secretary, the government has fixed what is the amount of money they can spend on their own. Beyond that money, if they have to spend, they have to take the permission of their superiors. That is what is called legal audit. Whether the money has been spent according to the law, whether the person who is spending money has the necessary power or authority to spend the money or not. Regulatory audit means even if you have the authority, you cannot be spending the money the way you like. The money has to be spent strictly according to established rules and regulations. For example, if you have to give money to the contractor has to submit all the documents. He has to submit all the documents regarding the proof of the work. He has to submit the documents related to the purchase of raw material. He has to submit documents related to the wages paid to the workers. And you can release the money to the contractor only when contractor submits all the documents. That means everything should be done strictly according to the established rules and regulations to prevent corruption. That is what we said. CAG conducts an audit which is mostly legal and regulatory. But write down, CAG cannot conduct audit. CAG cannot conduct performance audit. It cannot conduct performance audit, as performance budgeting and outcome budgets. Are not mostly used in India. right? Next, CAG also conducts an audit which is post-mortem in nature, mortem in nature, mortem in nature. That is, auditing is done after the monies are spent. It becomes almost impossible for the government to recover any losses. Next, auditing done by CAG is completely an administrative activity. Without involving stakeholders or beneficiaries. CAG does not conduct either performance or equity audit. Next, in order to overcome these weaknesses, and also to realize the objectives of citizen-centric governance, social audits have been introduced. Since 1991, due to rapid increase in tax revenues, expenditure by the government on welfare and developmental schemes has also increased in exponential terms. Under CAG Act 1971, CAG is not allowed to conduct a performance audit of these schemes. So that is the reason why we need social audit, because the government is spending lakhs of crores of rupees. In this year's budget itself, if you look at all the schemes that the government of India is implementing, the amount of expenditure runs into lakhs of crores, at least 10 to 12 lakh crores. So much amount of money is spent without any accountability, and everyone knows that there is so much of corruption that is taking place. We need accountability. We must reduce the wastage of resources. That is the reason why we need social audit. Next, what is social audit? What is a social audit? What is a social audit? In simple terms, social audit means performance evaluation by the stakeholders themselves. By the stakeholders themselves. Next, steps involved in social audit. What are the steps involved in social audit? Is almost similar to Syrian charters only. Since you have written about Syrian charters long time back, let us try to recall. What are steps involved in social audit? First, once the district administration receives money to be spent on a particular developmental scheme, social audit committees are formed. Social audit committees are formed. SAC, social audit committees are formed. Next, they mean social audit committees. They include beneficiaries, members from civil society organizations and NGOs, local judiciary, prominent citizens from locality, Next, members from private sector, media, and higher level bureaucracy. Next step, district administration will formulate Syrian charters in consultation with social audit committees, clearly defining the services to be provided, in quantifiable terms. Once Syrian charters are formulated, Syrian charters are formulated, comma, district administration implements Syrian charters. Next step, social audit committees conduct concurrent audit as and when the monies are spent. This can help in reducing corruption and also in improving efficiency. Next step, once the works are completed, social audit committees will evaluate performance of bureaucracy in terms of 4 E's. 4E. What are 4E's? Last time we have discussed. And I asked you also, should I dictate? Most of you have said that no, it's not required. Do you remember? Economy, in brackets expenditure, efficiency, in brackets output, effectiveness, in brackets outcomes, and equity, in brackets quality of outcomes. Next step, social audit committees submit their reports to the government. And the last step, the government is expected to take action. On the basis of reports submitted by social audit committees. So this is how social audit is performed. Do you have to explain again what are economy, efficiency, effectiveness and equity? Yes? Last class we have done. If we keep on doing whatever we have done in the last class every day we will be there only in the last class only. We will never come to the today's class. Right? Next. I said next, not break. You cannot be completing the sentence on my behalf. Right? Reasons for failure of social audit. First, lack of awareness among citizens. Stakeholders, citizens. Next, Syrian charters are never formulated are never formulated. Next, recommendations of social audit committees. Recommendations of social audit committees are only advisory in nature. Next, there are no effective grievance redressal mechanisms, effective GRMs, grievance redressal mechanisms. Next, social audit committees do not possess the necessary skills and knowledge, to evaluate the performance of government, to evaluate performance of bureaucracy, to evaluate the performance of bureaucracy. To evaluate performance of bureaucracy. Next, non-cooperative attitude of bureaucracy. Non-cooperative attitude of bureaucracy. And continuation of next, continuation of line item budgets. So these are all the reasons for failure of social audits. Again, the same thing that we have discussed for Syrian charters also. And what are the solutions? Repeat the same thing. Whatever you have written for Syrian charters, you have to write here also. Shall I dictate all of them? No, because we have done only now. But again, after the break, you will forget. So after the break, I will dictate. Okay? Thank you very much. Absolutely shameless. Okay. So after the break, we can look at another important topic, self-help groups, women and development. We look at that. Who will create the social audit committees, and also to whom shall they submit their reports? The social audit committees are created by, as I said, the beneficiaries themselves. It should, right now, the government of India has made it mandatory that for all NREGA works, there should be social audit committees. Then only the government of India will release money to social audit committees. Meghalaya had become the first state to give legal status to social audit committees, and they will be submitting the reports to the district collector. Within the district, the social audit committees will be submitting the report to the district collector, and the district collector is expected to take action on the basis of the reports submitted by social audit committees. Right now, the government of India has said that they will release funds for NREGA only when the social audit committee reports are submitted to the government. They made it mandatory that every NREGA work should be completed only with social audit committees. Otherwise, they will not release funds. Right now, this conflict is taking place between the Bengal state government and the central government, because the central government has said that there are no social audit committee reports. Right? They are formed at the local level, by the beneficiaries themselves with the help of NGOs and civil society organizations as part of citizen-centric governance. So proceeding further, let us look at the next one, self-help groups. Self-help groups, part of again citizen-centric governance. Self-help groups. And we have so many successes of social audit committees also. In states like Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, Second Administrative Reforms Commission has submitted a report. saying that in states like Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, when the social audit committees evaluated the performance of these schemes, central schemes and state sponsored schemes, they found out so many irregularities. They found out so many instances of corruption, and that is where the social audit can be useful also, so that you can fix accountability. Since they will be conducting what is called concurrent audit, you can also recover monies. That is the reason why we said that every developmental and welfare scheme should be mandatorily audited by social audit committees. Take the case of PDS, this food security. Take the case of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Take the case of PMJAY. Take the case of NREGA. Take the case of PMAY. Let them be audited only by the beneficiaries or the stakeholders. Today you must have seen this Global Hunger Index report also has come, where India's ranking has improved. 107 to 111. Increased or not? Yes, very good. You should feel happy. Right? Our ranking has improved. And other countries, our neighbors, their ranking has gone down. Like take the case of Bangladesh, 67, 68. They have to do a lot. So let us come back and look at this self-help groups. As we said, this women and development, very important topic from our UPSC point of view. Even this year itself, in all of our 4 papers of GS combined together, at least there are at least 100 marks about only women and development. If you know about the problems of women, if you can come out with the solutions to the problems of women, whether women are empowered or not, we don't know, but you will definitely be empowered. In our GS paper 2 also a question was asked about the gender justice. What are the provisions related to gender justice? What are the constitutional provisions related to gender justice? We have discussed all the things. What are the constitutional provisions related to gender justice? Article 14, Article 15, 3, just now we have spoken about. Then, what are the other provisions related to gender justice? Article 23. Article 23, you are forgetting. Article 23, what is it? Right against exploitation, which also has banned, as we have discussed, what it has banned? Trafficking in women and children. It has also banned Devdasi system. We have discussed all those things. That is what you have to write. Then what else? What are the other constitutional provisions? Indirect principles of state policy. Yes, Article 39. Then we also have provisions related to maternity benefits to women. Right? Then what are the other constitutional provisions related to women? 73rd and 74th amendments, wherein 33% reservations are given to women in local bodies. Then what are the other Supreme Court judgments, case studies related to women? First one is Shabano case. Shabano. Then Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, protection of women. Then abolition of this triple talaq. Then yes, Shaira Bano. Then and then euthanasia is not related to only women, to everyone. What are the other case studies related to only women? Sarla Mudgal, right to marriage. Right to marriage. There, Supreme Court has said that right to marriage is also part of fundamental rights, and if people have the right to convert also in a voluntary manner. Then equal pay for equal work, fundamental rights, DPSPs. You have to write all these things. You need, that is the reason why you need good knowledge of constitutional provisions. You have to remember, that's why I keep on saying, you have to, if you remember the fundamental rights, you can reach easily the FRs and DPSPs. And also relevant Supreme Court judgments. You have to quote only 3-4 judgments. That should be more than sufficient also. Right? So that is what women, and again every year one case study in ethics paper is only about women. One case study is about women only. And gender budgeting, before last year it was asked for 15 marks in your economy. Gender budgeting. So that is the reason why in paper 2 as part of governance we also have self-help groups. Every year the question will be asked. So that's the reason why in paper 1 they are also asking questions from history also, contribution of women to freedom movement also. Can you name some important freedom fighters? You studied world history, you studied Indian history, right? Yes, yes, you studied. And of course, already it has become part of history also. Arna Ashraf Ali, Annie Besant, Indians. Okay, that is the reason why make sure that you are thorough with all these things, especially all the aspects related to women. Last year there was an essay, 125 marks, related to women only. So be careful. So let us come back to our governance only. Raja Ram Mohan Rai. No, he has worked for women. Raja Raman has worked for women, right? No, getting confused here. So, Sarojini Naidu is there, yes. Suchitra Kripalani, Usha Mehta, yes, they are all. So what are we discussing here with regard to self-help groups? We will follow the same pattern. Why do we need self-help groups? What are these self-help groups? And what are the important features of self-help groups? What are the problems and what can be the solutions? What are the problems and what can be the solutions? Why do we need? Most of the questions will be featuring around problems. So let us start with the why. Why do we need self-help groups? Why women development is important? Why do you think development of women is important for a society? Please remember, whatever we are discussing all these things only from the strictly the point of view of the syllabus. What are the views I am expressing here are only professional but not personal, right? And you should not get emotional about whatever we are discussing, right? I said, if you write about women, you will be empowered. You will definitely get into IAS. After that, you forget. They are most vulnerable sections of society. Very good. So what? Right now, you are the most vulnerable section. Right. So that is the reason why a survey was conducted by United Nations in India. A survey was conducted by United Nations in India. What is that survey? It has conducted. The survey was conducted in 1990s, early 1990s. This survey was conducted. So what they have done? They have taken two different types of family households. Right? They have taken two different types. One family household is when men are the head of the family, or you can say man is the head of the family. Here a woman is the head of the family. when they conducted a survey, when this man is literate and he is the breadwinner, that means he is the sole earning member of the family. He is the breadwinner. The survey has found out that the chances of his children getting education are very remote. And the second thing is that he would not be spending all his salary on family only. He will be spending only a portion of his salary on his family. These are all the findings. On the other hand, when a woman was the head of the family, when she was literate and she is the breadwinner, all her children would get a very good education. Second, she would spend 100% of her salary only on family. That is the survey finding. That is the findings of survey. So what is the conclusion of this survey? The conclusion of this survey is that if women are educated, if they are economically empowered, it will benefit the entire family. If a man is educated and they are the breadwinners, it will only benefit himself but not the family. These are all the findings of the survey. So whose development is more significant from the point of view of the society, the country and the family? Men. Very good. Now let us come to the question first before coming to the conclusion. The question here is that why? When a woman is spending 100% of her entire salary on family, a man is spending only a portion. Why? Let me check your common sense. You can be successful administrator only when you have common sense. Any amount of knowledge or intellect will not be sufficient. Only one person at a time. Medical or emergency expenses. What do you mean by that? Why? Right. Yes. The answer is very simple. Men have more than one family. Their heart is very much big. It has space for more people. Whereas women are highly conservative. Right? So whose development is more important, men or women? Very good. But in the examination, what you have to write? Very good. That is more important. So let us come back. So let us not go into the reasons here, because they are strictly personal. Right? So coming back here, what this survey has clearly proved is that development of women is more significant from the point of view of family, society and country. Because if a woman is developed, she will ensure overall development of the family also. The survey has proved that if a woman is literate, if she has education, she makes sure that all her children also get better education, have better standard of life and also overall developed. So that is why, from the society's perspective, women development is more important than development of men. That is the reason why we have to focus on development of women. But the problem is that for thousands of years, societal traditions and customs meant that women are not given opportunity to develop themselves. They never got any kind of opportunity to develop themselves. Why? Because we have only patriarchal societies, male dominated societies. In these male dominated societies, women are always treated as secondary grade citizens. The traditions and customs are such that they are always treated as secondary grade citizens in these male dominated societies. Girl child is never given any kind of importance in the family, and they don't get any kind of opportunities to educate themselves, to empower themselves. they don't have any opportunities to take decisions for themselves also. Someone else will be taking decisions. So this is the case with societies for almost thousands of years. In India, we still have this kind of a patriarchal mindset. Feudal societies, male-dominated societies. If you happen to read newspapers, you can see that in some time back there was a news item about say Karnataka and Bihar. In Karnataka, participation of women is more. Participation, empowerment of women is better compared to Bihar. Why? Because in Karnataka you have this service sector dominating, and society is more gender equal society. Whereas in other states we have mostly male dominated, especially in the feudal societies, North Indian societies, male dominated societies only. So the society never had come forward and helped women. That is the reason why last year the essay topic was also asked. This gender discrimination, gender exploitation is the worst kind of exploitation, which is the least noticed in our society. We talk about so many kinds of discrimination in our society. Discrimination on the basis of caste, on the basis of religion, on the basis of race, on the basis of ethnicity. But the worst kind of discrimination, that is gender discrimination. Who are the most vulnerable sections of our society? We'll start with scheduled castes, then we'll say scheduled tribes, then we'll say OBCs, we'll say MBCs, we'll say EBCs, we'll say minorities. But women never figure here. And look at the women reservation bill that has been passed by the parliament also. It is passed with so many ifs and buts. You never know whether it will be implemented or not. It has said that first they will have to conduct the census, which the government has not conducted. And it is said that we have to complete this exercise of delimitation. Then after that we have to identify. And it says that the reservations will be given only for a period of 15 years. That is what the problem. That is the reason why this year the essay topic was asked. Where there is no justice in societies, there will be only charity. So this women reservation is some kind of charity to women, because there is no gender justice, gender equality. If they are the most vulnerable sections, automatically they should be getting more reservations. Even in UPSC also, 33% reservations should be given to women. Yes? Why all of you have become all of a sudden silent? Should it be given or not? No? Never. No is fine. Never is. Right? That is what we say. They are the worst exploited sections of society, but this kind of exploitation is least recognized. That is the essay topic last year it was. That is the reason why society has not come forward to help the women, nor the government. We have discussed that since 1970s onwards, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi had opted for this Garibi Hatao slogan, and she has started hundreds of developmental and welfare schemes targeting each and every section of society. But were there any developmental schemes only for women? No, there was only one scheme, that is called development of women and children. Women are coupled with children. With development of women and children in rural areas, DWCRA, only one scheme. And after that, we have never really bothered to implement any of the schemes for women also. We have never really bothered to implement any schemes for women also. Why? Because as we discussed these things in our paper 1, in our polity also, in India the basic problem is that women are not a powerful pressure group in India, unlike say scheduled castes or scheduled tribes or OBCs. Why? Congress party is so much talking about this OBC caste census, because they are the ones who will decide electoral outcomes. On the other hand, have you ever seen a woman coming onto the streets demanding rights for themselves? You have never seen. Have we ever seen women voting in elections on the basis of their gender issues, their safety and security, their education, their empowerment, their employment? Never. That is the reason why political parties always pay what you call lip service to the problems of women. And in spite of the fact that the country, almost 27 years we had only women ruling the country. Indira Gandhi, the most powerful Prime Minister, and she imposed emergency and she amended the constitution, and 42nd amendment we call it as a mini constitution also. at that point of time, if she had wanted, she could have given 33% reservations to women also. Nobody would have objected it. But she did not. Why? Because she had not become the Prime Minister because she is a woman. She had become the Prime Minister because she was a daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru. We don't have any women politicians in India who had reached positions of power only by strongly opposing the cause of women only. That is where the problem is. So that is the reason why we don't have any schemes for women development. We don't have any schemes for women development also. So what we are saying here, neither the society nor the government is coming forward to help the women. Neither society nor government. If you take, as we have discussed, you take any religion in India or any religion in the world, and almost every religion is highly discriminatory against women. Do you have any female goddesses? I am not talking about Hinduism, in other religions. In Buddhism, is there any scope for women? In Jainism, it does not recognize women also. One of the 5 tenets of Jainism is brahmacharya. Right? You should abstain from sensual pleasures. In Buddhism, there is no place for women. And in other religions also, you don't find any woman. Have you ever seen any religion started by a woman? Can you name at least one religion started by women? Pardon? Yes? Why we have not seen any religion started by women? All major religions in the world are started by men only. Why not women? Yes. Why not women? And that is the reason why all religions are highly discriminatory against women. All religions, irrespective of the religion, all of them are discriminatory against women. So that is what we are saying. Societal traditions and customs, norms and ethics, government programs, none of them have come forward to help women, to empower women. Under those circumstances, women had no option but to come forward and help themselves, resulting in the emergence of self-help groups. You are helping yourself. Why? Because neither the society nor the government is willing to help you. That led to the emergence of self-help groups. This self-help group movement had its origins in Bangladesh in the early 1990s. That is the reason why if you look at human development indicators of Bangladesh are far better than India, HDI. Bangladesh is doing better than India. Even global hunger index also, it is doing better than India. In MDPI, multidimensional poverty index also, it is doing better than India. Why? Because of this self-help group movement. The same thing we have mentioned. If a woman is economically empowered and also educated, it will benefit the entire family. That is the reason why women development becomes very, very important. So this movement was started in Bangladesh. Muhammad Yunus, the chairman of Bangladeshi Grameen Bank, who went on to win Nobel Peace Prize later for his efforts, started this self-help group movement, wherein this Bangladeshi Grameen Bank started providing subsidized loans to women self-help groups in rural areas to start small-scale industries, sell their products, make profits, and ensure their economic empowerment. That has completely changed the landscape. That have completely changed the landscape of the Bangladesh rural economy forever. Forever. What are the constitutional provisions in Indian Constitution related to SHGs? There are no constitutional provisions related to SHGs, self-help groups. There are no self-help groups is a people's movement. There are no constitutional provisions. Self-help groups are part of, I said, civil society organizations. They are neither part of the state nor part of markets. So there are no constitutional provisions. That's what I said. Neither the state, take that, now that the question is asked, take the, again, our constitutional makers have spoken about reservations for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Why not for women? Because if you look at, as I said, all the vulnerable sections of society, women are the most vulnerable sections. But why our constitutional makers have not included reservations for women? And how many women members were there in the Constituent Assembly? In the Constituent Assembly, when the discussions were taking place, women members were there, and the discussion had come up whether women should be given reservations or not, just like scheduled caste or scheduled tribes. They themselves have opposed, saying that we don't require any reservations. We can empower ourselves. From then onwards, they are trying only. Right? That is where the problem. Why? Because as I keep on saying, the women members are very less, and they are not a powerful pressure group also. That is where the problem is. So in Bangladesh, he started this self-help group movement when some rural women come together, get their individual savings, start a small MSME like that, micro industry. They will sell their products in the local markets, and they will make profits out of it. That results in their economic empowerment. And they can use, normally what do? They use that money to improve health, to improve education standards for their children. That is the reason why Bangladesh, as I keep on saying, is doing far better than India in terms of all these human development indicators. Because when a woman is developed, when a woman is economically empowered, it will benefit the entire family. Since neither the state nor the society has come forward to help the women, they had come forward to help themselves in a proactive manner by forming these self-help groups. So let us take few lines about why self-help groups, then we'll come to rest of the things. Why self-help groups? Why do we need these self-help groups? For thousands of years, for thousands of years, due to the dominance of patriarchal societies, and feudal mindsets of people, women are always treated as secondary grade citizens. They are not given any freedom. To take decisions about their life. Societies also have not shown any commitment to their development. Societies also have not shown any commitment to their development. Next paragraph. After independence, our constitutional makers have given more importance to other vulnerable sections of society. Next paragraph. Similarly, successive governments have focused more on socially and educationally backward sections. Socially and educationally backward sections, but ignored concerns of women. CONCERN, concerns of women. Very less number of schemes, specifically targeting women, were implemented. Next paragraph. According to a study conducted by a multilateral institution, if women are educated and are also sole breadwinners of the family, SOLE, sole breadwinners of the family, it mostly resulted in better education, health, and significant improvement, better education, health, and a significant improvement in the standard of life of rest of family members. Especially children. But the same is not true. With regard to men. Next paragraph. If a woman is educated and empowered, it can result in the overall development of family, society, and the country. Next paragraph. Since neither the society nor the state had shown any interest or commitment to help women, women had to come forward, and help themselves, resulting in the emergence of self-help groups. Next paragraph. Self-help group movement, SHG movement, had its origins in Bangladesh. It had its origins in Bangladesh. Muhammad Yunus, MD Yunus, 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 chairman of Bangladesh Grameen Bank, started this movement in rural areas. In rural areas, So coming back here, pardon? Muhammad Yunus, Bangladesh Grameen Bank, chairman of Bangladesh Grameen Bank, started self-help group movement in rural areas. The bank has provided subsidized loans to women self-help groups. Which completely transformed the rural life of Bangladesh. Next paragraph. In India, SHG was started in mid-1990s. In South Indian states. So that is what we say. It was started in India in mid-1990s, especially in South Indian states. What is a self-help group? What is self-help group and what are its important features? First, a group of rural women coming together to develop themselves. A group of rural women coming together to develop themselves. That is what is called a self-help group, known as a self-help group. Next, the maximum strength of SHG self-help group, maximum strength of SHG is 20. That means a self-help group cannot have more than 20 members. Next feature, SHGs consists mostly of women. Now in India, we have spread the SHG movement to other vulnerable sections also. Otherwise, SHGs consist mostly of women. Next, they are created only in rural areas. At this point of time, we have self-help groups only in rural areas. Next, women belonging to socially and educationally, educationally and economically backward sections, are a part of self-help groups. Basically, we are talking about here scheduled caste women, scheduled tribe women, mostly illiterate and poor, socially, educationally and economically backward. Next point, once a self-help group is formed, they collect their individual savings. So what do you mean by that? First, you register yourself as a self-help group. Under the Society Registration Act, you will register yourself. And the next step is you collect your individual savings. Each person will be getting, say, around 10,000 rupees. So 20 members means 2 lakh rupees. And then what do? With those 20,000 rupees, 2 lakh rupees, they will try to produce household items which are used for daily consumption in rural areas. And they will try to sell them in the local markets for a profit. And what do? They will share the profit equally among themselves. That is what is called economic independence. That is what they do. Second, next step, they will produce mostly household items, which are used for daily consumption, in rural areas. Next, they sell them in the local markets. For a profit, and the profit is equally shared among all members. So that is how these self-help groups function. What do? First, they come together. As we have mentioned, the maximum strength of a self-help group cannot be more than 20 members. Minimum can be anything. They will collect all their individual savings, and then they will produce small household items which are used for daily consumption in rural areas, in the local markets, and they will share the profits among themselves. Objective is economic independence, because it is not possible to run the families with the income of only one single person. You are living in the age of high inflation, and you cannot provide, as I said, a better standard of life to your children also. So if you earn that money, as I said, if a woman is the earning member, she will spend 100% of her income only on family. That leads to better education, better health, improvement in the standard of life also. That is what the objective of this self-help group movement. As we said, neither the state nor the society is coming forward to help them. That is the reason why women had come forward to help themselves, resulting in the emergence of self-help groups. But this self-help group movement has faced so many problems, and all those problems are asked in our examination. So what are the major problems faced by self-help groups? First and foremost, this historical and sociological and cultural factors. If you look at India, even now also 70% of the self-help groups are only in South Indian states, 5 South Indian states. On the other hand, northern part of the country, western part of the country, eastern part of the country, SHG movement has not been as popular, as successful as in South Indian states. What is the reason why? Why they are not successful in North India, or for that matter in the western part of the country, or in the eastern part of the country also? Why? As we said, historical, sociological and cultural factors. What are the historical factors here in North India? If you look at North India, in a northwestern part of the country, it always faced attacks from foreigners, especially in the medieval times. And whenever this kind of wars took place, always it was the women who suffered the most. This kind of atrocities were committed against women. That was the reason why they never allowed the women to go out, because there was no scope for protecting their self-esteem, prestige, honor. They were ruthlessly exploited. So as part of traditions and customs, what happened in these feudal societies, women were never allowed to go out and work. And another thing here is that if you look at it, in North India, mostly the profession is agriculture. In agriculture, who will be playing a more important role? Men. So women, as part of division of work, were asked to only take care of household activities, whereas men would go out and work also. So because of these reasons, and in a cultural factors also, in male dominated societies, in male dominated societies, these cultural factors, women are always treated as secondary grade citizens. So families can never give importance to education or health of women. Forget about employment or economic independence. Why? Because in our male dominated societies, women are always considered to be outsiders, because after their marriage they will go to other families. Their surname also would change. So who are expected to continue with family legacy? Male. That is the reason why male children are given more importance compared to women. And we have also this kind of division of work. Women are always expected to take care of household activities, cooking, cleaning and everything, whereas in a male child are never taught these things. How many of you can cook? Very few men are raising hands, right? What about rest? They can eat, division of work. Women cook and they will eat, right? So that is what it is. Rest of them, please try to learn, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? It is better to have alternative sources of livelihood. So that is where the problem is. The society, historical factors, sociological factors, cultural factors, all these factors. Is it time? Okay, that is what I can see. All of you are relaxing suddenly, right? All of you are extremely time-minded people, right? When it comes to classes, right? And I think 2 days back there was an article in the newspapers about information commissions also. Did you note down all the facts? As we have mentioned in the class also, more than 3 lakh cases, 3.2 lakh cases are pending. There are so many information commissions which are functioning without any members, Telangana and others. Even Central Information Commission also does not have the head. That is what we have mentioned. So whenever we meet in our next class, we have, when do we have class? We don't have class. Next week let us see if we have class, right? Then we will continue. I think today is the 9th class. I think we have 5 more classes. Then we will complete governance. Right.